got out of him. Okay. Since the recording started now, we'll just restart the whole thing because my voice is important. So Khalid Ansari was born in 1937, and I'm only joking. I won't trouble you with. So I will simply end by quoting from the inside leaf of his book, a couple of paragraphs. So I'm reading it now. His book is It's a Wonderful World, a memoir, and it's an autobiography. But the author has been at pains to prevent this from deteriorating into I did this, did that, and pat myself, shabash, hagiography, or a dry as dust pontifical tome by spicing it up with dollops of frothy anecdotes. And I vouch for that because I've gone through the book. There are plenty of such anecdotes. He has also attempted a discourse on the purpose of life, the right path, and the like. And he believes very strongly in charity. Since charity and service to humankind are now the author's obsession post-retirement, he has also dwelt at some length upon his private, self-funded charitable foundation. We'll talk to him more about this. And on giving away whatever little material possessions his wife Xenia and he have acquired in his lifetime. Since I'm now beginning to cough, we will welcome Khalid. Khalid, welcome to the club.
Thank you very much. Namaste, Adab, and thank you for having me this morning. It's a pleasure to meet your members.
Thank you, Khalid. Rukhsana talked a little bit about Inqilab and how she was a writer for the Inqilab and the Inqilab publications. I know you grew up in little bylanes of Madanpura, Ripon Road, and things like that. Tell us a little bit about your growing up years.
Well, my father started life as an orphan. He studied at the Navasheva orphanage across the harbor from Bombay, and didn't have too much education, but he was literate enough to be able to get involved in the freedom movement. And he was spotted by two very distinguished leaders of political parties, Salib Bhai Abdul Qadir and Abd Ali Jafar Bhai, who became a minister in New Delhi under Pandit Nehru. So they mentored him. They saw his God-given ability to write. He wrote with a lot of passion. He was a staunch nationalist. In fact, one of his articles headlined, it said in effect that if there is one Muslim left in India, his name will be Abdul Hamid Ansari. This is because his friends who migrated to Pakistan kept calling him there, saying that he had a good future, but there was no way that he would ever take that advice. So in short, he was a staunch nationalist, spent hours and hours. We hardly saw him at home growing up because he was so involved in the freedom movement. He went to jail 3 times. The British government sent him to jail. That's another chapter in the book, which readers might find interesting. But to cut a long story short, yes, I did grow up in Madanpura near Nagpara Junction in Bombay. In fact, the intersection at Baikala Bridge, the old Khada Parsi, is now renamed after my late father. It's now called the Abdul Hamid Ansari Chowk. So we grew up in that area. I went to St. Mary's High School, and then we had 2 sections, Senior Cambridge and SSC. My father couldn't afford to pay the fees for the Senior Cambridge section, so we were the red tie walas, the underprivileged ones. And then after that, father had no time for me, so I had to make my own way in life. Admission at a college, I don't know which one to join. My friend said, the girls at St. Xavier's College they're very good, and great social life, and you'll have a good time. So that decided the choice of college for me. And then I did my BA from there, and after my graduation, I did my MA in political science from the University of Bombay. And I was privileged to learn under Professor Usha Mehta and Professor Alu Dastoor. And concurrently in those days, you could do your MA and LLB together. So I also did simultaneously a law degree course at the Government Law College at Churchgate in Bombay, and got a degree from there. After that, again, what to do, where to go. Happened to meet, this has a bearing on the title of the book. It's a Wonderful World. I'll explain to you later. I met this gentleman at the USIS library the name was Miller, and we got friendly. We met for the first time. We got friendly. I asked him at the party, which college should I go to? He said, where have you applied? So I mentioned 4 colleges which had accepted me. So he said, don't waste your time. Just go to Stanford, which is what I did. And I'm grateful to Mr. Miller for having given me the right advice. So that was my educational background. But yes, I did grew up in Nakpara.
Thanks, Khalid. You led me to the second question. What you did was perfect. I followed your footsteps. I was in the blue tie and then Xavier's for the same reason that you were. But why did you commit the blunder of coming back from Stanford? Up to there, you were doing very well, and then suddenly you made this wrong turn and came back. Why?
I must disagree with you, Quresh. I don't think I made a blunder because for me, it was a Hobson's choice. I mean, there was no question of not coming back. Given my father's passion in the freedom movement, I mean, a lot of it rubbed off on his children. And we were also imbued, I'm not showing off, but we feel very strongly about our country. And although many of my fellow students abroad at Stanford had made up their mind that they were not going back to India, coming back to India, for me, it was no debate at all. As soon as I graduated, partly because my father was unwell at that time, he was a heart patient, and I was the eldest child in the family, and there was nobody else to take over the business. So in a way, I was compelled to come back, but no regrets at all. There's no other place in God's earth. It's a wonderful world, as I say, and I'm delighted that I came back to India.
And Khalid, okay, you came back, you did wonderfully with Sports Week, everything was going well. Suddenly you decided to start a daily newspaper, Midday. Was it just because evening news had closed down, or was it, why chuck a successful magazine for a daily, because daily newspaper is a huge commitment. You know that because of Inqilab as well. So why did you come back to this?
I was expecting that question, and I've come prepared. Yes, there was no question in my mind about what my career path was going to be growing up. Sports Week, of course, it was a stepping stone. I was passionate about sport. I was a sportsman myself. I played games. I played for my college, for both the St. Xavier's College and Government Law College cricket. I was an athletics champion at Government Law College. So sports came naturally. And therefore, and growing up, we were all huge fans of the Sport and Pastime magazine from Chennai, from the redoubtable Hindu group. And so I dreamt of starting a magazine of my own and competing the Sport and Pastime. Now, this was crazy. I mean, there were no resources, no human resource, nothing, no premises, but it was just pagalpan, obsession. And I pursued my dreams. And God was kind, and that's why I say it's a wonderful world. Because at every stage of my life, I've been helped, I've been blessed, and therefore the alternate title to my book, Jab Upar Wala Meherban, To Gada Pahalwan. Because I do sincerely believe that somebody up there has been looking after me, he's encouraged me, he's always supported me. And I think you want to ask me perhaps later about the donkey and a seeming obsession with the donkey.
Yeah, you can take it now. It's a question which was bugging me when I read the book, because though it's there in the beginning, the alternate title Upar Wala Meherban to Gada Pahalwan, but later on Khalid in his book also self-depreciatingly often refers to himself as the lucky donkey. So Khalid, get the donkey part out from the system.
No, well, to begin with, Quresh, I'm a great believer that everything that has come my way, everything, in house of a smaller measure, has been because of the blessings of the one above. Now, when I started writing my memoirs, I mean, it started off as a biography because I didn't want to write about myself. And I said, writing about yourself and saying, shabash, and pat me and myself on the back, and mitne sher mare, maine ye kiya, maine wo kiya, was just repulsive. So there were 2 attempts made at writing a biography for me. I said, I don't mind a biography. It was like Field Marshal Manekshaw. When I worked with him on the All India Council of Sport, I made the same suggestion to him. I said, sir, you must write your memoirs. You owe it to posterity. You owe it to future generations. They must know about your exploits, your heroism, everything. He said, no chance, Khalid, over my dead body. I know too bloody much. And so I failed there. I made the same suggestion to Mota Chudasma. You must have known him, I'm sure. The high-profile Chudasma family.
Nana's elder brother.
Nana's elder brother, that's right. Director of Air India and, a man of many parts, a businessman. And so when I suggested that, he paused, thought for a while, scratched his head, and he says, great idea, Khalid. We are three brothers. We will sell 4 copies. No, that was Mota Chudasma. So in similar vein, I didn't think that anybody would be interested in my life, What the hell? I'm just a pen pusher. I'm a journalist. Okay, I mean, I have gone abroad to study, but that doesn't make me readable. Many years later, and then the owner of Rupert and Company in New Delhi asked me to write a book, and so I quoted these 2 incidents, and I said, and he suggested a title. He said, Mr. R.K. Mehra, a wonderful gentleman, a thorough gentleman, and he suggested that I write my memoirs and call it the memoirs of a Muslim, Indian Muslim. So I said, Mehra Sahib, I'm sorry. And I gave him the example that quoting Field Marshal Manekshaw and Mota Chudasma, and I said, to begin with, I'm not much of a Muslim. I believe in the tenets of the religion into which I was born, but I don't think I'm really an orthodox, staunch Muslim. I'm liberal-minded. I accept all faiths, and I don't think there's a story there when I am concerned. There's a lot to be written about this particular topic, but I'm not the right person. So the project was dropped. Years later, one of my former employees who was working in Saudi Arabia came back and made the same suggestion. He says, Khalid bhai, I'd like to write your biography. I said, biography is fine. So we spent hours and hours, me speaking into a recording device, and Javed, his name was Javed Siddiqui. His father worked with my father at the Inqilab. And he was taking copious notes. And he'd done a lot of work. We spent a lot of time. And unfortunately, luck would have it, Javed passed away prematurely, leaving behind a wonderful wife and 2 children. So that was the end of that project. Then finally, another approach was made. And I said on the same term that I don't want to write about myself. If somebody wants to write, that's okay by me. So again, we started work. There was a man called Prabhu Desai here in Bombay, who's written the biographies of Sunil Gavaskar and Rahul Dravid. And he started work. And then I discovered that he was not in tune with my background, with my psyche, with my culture, my value system. And so I said, let me revise that. And so I started writing during the first pandemic. And I was amazed because memory, hadn't failed me with the passage of time. And the events and facts just flowed. And Zainab will confirm that in 5 months to the day, starting from the day I got down to writing, 5 months, the manuscript was ready and sent to the publishers. I was surprised at myself. At my age, to remember all those incidents has surprised even me. And therefore, whenever people talk about writing a book, they say, I don't know, that was so long ago. I don't know. I said, get down to it and you will see for yourself. You'll be surprised at yourself, at your memory, how you can write. So I'm happy to say that 2 of my friends have now been encouraged and hopefully they'll do it. In fact, India's national squash champion, the legendary Anil Nair, who now lives in, he went
USA.
in the US, married to a wonderful American lady, Jean. He too resisted all my encouragement to write a book. Finally, after I think 5 or 6 years, with her help, because she's also a journalist, he's written a very readable and eminently readable autobiography. And I recommend that. Anil Nair, the former squash, I think a squash legend, really, the world over. He played with the likes of the Khan brothers of Pakistan at that level.
Khalid, this leads me to the, you answered this partially, but it's a wonderful world. We've got COVID, we've got wars, we've got pestilence, hunger, famine, political upmanship, all sorts of problems, and you still call it a wonderful world. It's a wonderful world because God has been kind to you, or you really have those rose-tinted glasses on for the rest of us as well.
Uh, well, I suppose I do have rose-colored glasses, tinted glasses, and I always believe that I prefer to call a glass half full rather than half empty. So that is the state of mind. And I think it applies to the human race, of course. Now, as I mentioned in the book, it's a constant struggle trying to divine the purpose of life. What is it all about? Why are we created? Why this universe? What is the purpose? What is the role? What is the function? Just to live a lifetime, whatever span we may have, or is that a nobler purpose? And I do believe that the purpose in life is to help our fellow human beings. And this is where charity comes in, and this is where I'm privileged to have as wife Zena, who is, I call her Mother Teresa reincarnate, because it seems like excessive praise, but she really is that charitable minded. And it fits in well because my father had started a charity, which I took over from him. And now, she's playing a stellar role, a sterling role in a charity. If you were to ask me, yes, but what is it all about? Why do you think, what do you want to do? So I said, I really don't have an answer. I ask myself, why is man so unkind to man? Why are children born deformed? Why is there so much evil in this world? I have no answer. I have tried to divine the answer. I've read and read and read, and I'm ashamed to admit that I do not have an answer. So it doesn't mean that if I do not have an answer, there is no answer. I'm still searching for the answer. Meanwhile, I'm taking inspiration from my parents to be a good human being, to try and help my fellow human beings, and help in whatever way I can.
Khalid, I'm bringing you back to reality now. You can remove those rose-tinted glasses and tell us why you jumped ship from India and went to College Times in Dubai.
Oh, all right. All right. Just as it was a passion for me, my lifetime ambition was to become a journalist and to start my own newspaper in Bombay, not a magazine. Sports Week happened because of a coincidence. I bumped into Aziz Karim Bhoy at the CCI one afternoon. I was there for lunch and he was there as well. And we got talking and I asked him what he's doing. He says, nothing, boss. You start a sports magazine and I will join you. Out of the blue, a bolt of lightning. So I called him later, I phoned him and said, Aziz, what was all that about? He said, yes, boss, I'm serious. I'm looking for something to do. Aziz was very well off, came from a very prosperous family. And so, are you serious? He said, yes. Now, he was a regular at the CCI where the late Bobby Talyar Khan, the one and only, the redoubtable Khan, used to live. And so he used to have coffee together at 11. So the next thing I knew, Aziz mentioned to Bobby Talyar Khan about me and had a conversation, a very brief conversation. So Bobby said he'd like to meet me. So I went across with great hesitation and great trepidation. And so Aziz asked me again in front of Talyar Khan. He says, are you thinking of starting a sports magazine? I said, no, I have no such plans. He says, if you ever decide, come to me. So that encouraged me. It suggested an idea. And so I got working on it. And since my ambition was to start my own publication, I said Sports Week won't entail too much in financial involvement, not too much in investment. So I jumped at it and I was lucky. I bumped into Ron Hendricks somewhere and I got talking, and that's how staff came along. And then after some time, I received word from Bobby Talyar Khan, from Aziz. He's saying that he'd like to meet you. So I said, all right. So I went across to the CCI and he said, young man, you were talking about starting a sports magazine. I said, no, Bobby, I wasn't starting a sports magazine. I was thinking about it. So he said, when you're ready, come back to me. And so that really made me serious. And as I said, no resources, nothing, ramshackled office premises at Tardu Junction, about all. So anyway, started working on it, and then came along this stroke of good luck. Therefore, the Uparwala and Gada, as I say, I applied for a scholarship for a Thomson Foundation in Cardiff, in the UK, sponsored by Lord Thomson of the Times London. I applied for it and I was selected. I was the only one from India. It was a Commonwealth scholarship that they were taking one from different Commonwealth countries. I managed to get it. So I went across to Cardiff, spent, I think, for 3 months. And that's when I really got serious about a sports magazine. And after the course finished, in fact, the Prince of Wales came to see us, meet the students over there. Anyway, so after the course, I stayed back and started meeting some newspaper publishers and sports editors, and managed to line up a syndication arrangement for the Daily Express newspaper for the sports publication, for the sports coverage. Now, they had some top writers from across the world. So when I came back, I started working on that, and then I managed to, gradually muster together a team, some very notable writers from the Times of India group, Ron Hendricks, Cecil Hendricks, Gopi Bhaskaran, and Sharad Kotnis, and started Sports Week. And again, God was kind. Sports Week was a hit from almost day one, and we were competing against the redoubtable Sport and Pastime from the Hindu group with enormous resources and established for about 20 years. Again, we were lucky, and Sport and Pastime closed down. Now, how much more luck can one expect in life? And so we had a smooth sailing, and with India doing increasingly well at international sport, the readership grew by leaps and bounds. So it was pure luck, I tell you. I really do believe that. And then so that was Sports Week. The dream to start a daily paper was always there, and at the back of my mind. And midday, yes. I must get my facts right. I don't want to give any wrong information. Yes, the Benham contractor. Benham and I struck up a very close friendship, and there wouldn't be a party at my home where Benham would not be present, and vice versa. Every time he had friends over, I'd be there. And after all the guests left, we would be sitting until 2 o'clock in the morning, solving the world's problems. On one such occasion, there were some cricketers at my home here in Somerville. And after they left, Benham and I were again together. And late at night, I told Benham, I said, Benham, are you happy with what you're doing in life? So Benham, as usual, went blink, blink, and he said, yes, I'm very happy. I said, Benham, you deserve more out of life. You write a very successful and eminently readable column. I'm a great fan of yours, but you should be doing something better in life. Strive, do something, move on. So again, like Aziz Karimbai, he says, if you start a daily paper, Khalid, I'll join you tomorrow. Almost similar words. So I thought he was joking. So he went home. The next morning when I woke up, I was thinking about the previous night, and I said, what did Benham say? Was he serious? So I phoned him. I said, Benham, were you serious when you said that? He said, of course. I said, do you really mean you will give up a job at the Times of India and join a nobody? All that he does is publish a sports magazine. He said, you try it. And that's how it started. And then Benham, spoke to Malvika Sanghvi. And Malvika was the first to put her hand up. She says, yes. And then she asked Benham, she says, what does he do? What's his background? He said, I don't know, but he's a very nice fellow. So Benham, the short term, in course, a very nice fellow. She resigned from the Times of India group. And then in due course, then others also came along. I spoke to some other people. Aziz Karimbai, of course, was Sports Week, so he also became a sports editor. Cecil Hendricks of the Times of India Racing, he decided to join us. Gopi Bhaskaran, they all came along. And before we knew it, we were up and running. Again, no resources, no money, no premises. We had this old ramshackle opera at Tardo where we were walking out of Sports Week. And again, just good coincidence, good luck. And as I've written, on day one, no, before that, I'm sorry, I'm going ahead of my story. 3 days before we were supposed to launch, It was June 28. It rained and rained, torrential rains. The city was flooded, and Tardo being a low-lying area, everything was closed over there. We went to office on the first morning in pouring rain, cats and dogs, and all the newsprint rolls that we didn't have go down. So it was all stored out in the open, in the compound. And that got soaked. The roof was leaking. My staff, Varam and Malvika and Carol Andrade, who came from the Times of India, were sitting under umbrellas with the rain, over the typewriters, with the rain pouring onto the umbrellas. And the machines would not start. The photo department was flooded. So we tried to, get moving. And before that, there was a fire at the Times of India and a strike at the Free Press Journal. Now, these two groups published two afternoon papers and very successful and established papers. The Times had the Evening News of India. The Free Press group had the Free Press Bulletin. Both well established, 20 years plus in existence. And here's this newcomer, this new kid on the block trying to get muscle in there, in that territory. And they had a fire and there was a strike. So we got together with our staff and we said, how lucky can one get? But we all decided unanimously that we cannot start our paper in the ashes of a paper of competition that might close down and take advantage of this situation. So we postponed our launch. We said we want a level playing field. I would say, take it on level terms, not take advantage of an unfortunate tragedy like this. So we delayed the paper and we started. And then I told you what happened on the first day. Silly me, Gadha, I decided to take over the president of the Rotary Club Midtown ship on the same day as I launched my paper. Now, how much more crazy can a person be? So it was 2 o'clock. There was no.
With Field Marshal Manekshaw as chief guest.
Yeah, I got him. And that's right. He was a good friend. And again, we would spend lots of hours together solving the world's problems, Field Marshal and I. So we used to meet, with the council meetings all over the country. And Field Marshal being Field Marshal, he'd finish the meeting in no time at all. And then we would be free. So he'd go back to his hotel and I would go to mine and meet in the evening in his suite at 7 o'clock without fail, no matter where we were in the country. And then again, go on till midnight and past. So as you said, yeah, Field Marshal. So I told my staff, I said, there was no sign of the machine starting. It barely got the pages together. It was flooded, the Tardo press, the office. And so at 4 o'clock, I said, listen, I have to go. I have to get home. I have to get organized. I have to get dressed and go for my installation at the Taj Ballroom at 7 o'clock, I think it was. So I said, and please send me the first issue to the ballroom. And so I left in the hope that the first copy would come there. So the meeting started 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30, no sign of the paper. At 8:30, our office man signals to me saying that has a parcel for me. So I said, bring it here. So he brought it, sitting at the head table. I put it under the table, opened it quietly. It looked okay. It wasn't totally white, nor was it totally black. So I quietly passed it to Field Marshal, seated to my right. And I said, sir, here's my first issue. He said, oh, congratulations. And he opens it, looks at his watch. He says, Khalid, call it bloody midnight. So that was baptism by fire.
Yeah.
As I said, I have been so blessed that the donkey, so that's therefore the parable of the donkey, because I might explain very briefly. But are we running out of time, Quresh?
Yeah. I've got lots of cricket questions, a lot of cricket lovers here. So I'll drop the Khalid Times at the moment.
Yeah.
And ask you about the Vaseline incident. The famous Vaseline incident when an English fast bowler rubbed Vaseline from his eyebrow, gauze or something. And I think Bishan Bedi was the captain and umpire Ruben was the umpire who called it. that caused a storm, and you were perhaps the only journalist to call a spade at that time. Tell us a little bit about that, because it's very fresh in my memory.
I must say I'm impressed with your knowledge of cricket, Quresh, about some other things.
I'm a huge fan, Khalid. Yeah.
Okay, right. Yes, I was covering cricket all over the country, and that's when I was privileged to get to know many of the senior cricketers, the legends of cricket, well. But at that time, uh, Tony Gregg's team came to India. I think it was 75, 76. And they were playing in Delhi at the Firozshah Kotla ground. And during the game, John Lever, the pace bowler, England pace bowler, was seen constantly rubbing his forehead. And he put a gauze over here with Vaseline. Therefore, it's called the Vaseline incident. And he was using the Vaseline by rubbing it onto the ball on one side, which made it swing disconcertingly. And it made life very difficult for the batsman. And that's how he took unfair advantage. In my book, he cheated and got away with it. Umpire Reuben was then officiating at that match. He saw it, reported it to the board, but the board, as usual, was impotent. They looked the other way. They let them off the hook, and they got away with it. In the process, poor Bishan Bedi not only lost after his captaincy, he lost his contract with the Northamptonshire cricket club, and it was a fairly handsome contract. They did not renew it out of retribution, out of revenge, you might say, for what he had done by exposing their test cricketer. So we were at Madras after that. We were writing every week and trying to expose. When I say we, I mean Sports Week. No other paper took it up. I'm ashamed to say, no other paper. And so it happened again in Chennai, in Madras then. It wasn't called Chennai. And it happened again. So Bishan, after the day's play, came to me and said, "Yaar, Khalid, ye kya ho raha hai? Look at what's going on the bloody world, getting away with it." So I said, "I'll take it up, Bishan." So I started blasting them. And I said, I think we should also involve the other media, the other writers. So at my initiative and at my expense, I invited my colleagues in the media to the press conference. And they all came. They all had a good time. They had drinks and they ate themselves silly. And then not a word in the media about this incident. So it really disillusioned me, disenchanted me about my colleagues in the media. But on the other side, the English media, and they were all here in strength. All the big names writers were here. All the senior journalists were here. And they used to write for my magazine, Sports Week. So all of them, en masse, out of solidarity.
Khalid, there's an echo. Is there another screen working?
I'm sorry?
There's an echo coming.
Yes.
Is there another screen on? No.
I see a picture on the top left of my. No, that's fine. I think that's
okay.
Fine.
Yeah, it's fine now.
Yeah. So they all stopped writing for my magazine, but we continued a campaign, and then the aftermath was when the next England cricket team came to India under Keith Fletcher. There was an English journalist who I had got to meet on the circuit. And we had good camaraderie. We used to meet and drink and eat together. So he was the one who didn't like the fact that I was exposing the England team. And he was supranational. He was more patriotic than the Queen of England. And he didn't like the fact that, I was exposing the team's dishonesty. So anyway, that incident for me was over. There was a reception for the team at the Oberoi Hotel poolside. His name was Pat Gibson, and he happened to be around. So I saw him there, and the past came flooding back to me and all that nonsense. Anyway, I said, forget it, my man hai, and let bygone. My precept in life is forgive, but don't forget. I don't hold grudges against people. I forgive, but I don't forget because I don't want to make the same mistake again. So when I saw Pat there, I went up to him and said, "Hello, Pat, how are you?" And he was surprised that I actually spoke to him again. And then he says, then I came away, and my first wife, Ruki, was there at the function with me. And then he comes to us and he says, takes me aside, he says, Khalid, uh, the lads, meaning his colleagues, the media people, uh, would like to have some fun. Given the past and my memories, I didn't like the way he said they'd like to have some fun. Had he said they'd like to have a drink, I would have reacted differently, but he said they'd like to have some fun. So I said, Pat, I'm not in the business of arranging fun for people. And then, so he walked away. A little later, I felt bad that I had been perhaps discourteous to him. So I went up to him again and I said, Pat, what is it that you want? He said, no, is there some place where they can have a drink? I said, yeah, sure, just around the corner. So I was thinking of Studio 29, the disco.
Yeah.
Marine, just opposite CCI.
Yeah.
So we got into our car, and he and some fellow journalists and some cricketers, Ian Botham and a few others, got into another car. And we got off at Studio 29. I took them in and we signed them in as our guests because we were going to another dinner. So I told them, I said, listen, enjoy yourselves, but the bill is on you. I made it very clear. I was not about to pay for about 10 people there, and knowing how much what capacity they have, I wasn't willing to risk it. So we left them and went. The next day, I went to the Wankhede Stadium to see them at practice. And not one of them recognized me. I didn't even expect thank you. They didn't recognize me, not even a hello, including this journalist, Pat Gibson. So that made me mad. And I said, this cannot be allowed to happen. So I started, sorry. And then 2 days later, I received a bill from Studio 29 for 47 Scotch whiskies. 47. So when the test match started in Bombay, I was in the press box. So I went to Pat Gibson and I said, Pat, here's your bill. He said, oh, bloody hell. Can't be that. Not a mistake. I said, I wasn't there. I don't know. I took the boys there because of you. You're morally responsible. So you tackle it. And please settle the bill directly with Studio 29. Oh, I'll get back to you. The next few days, again, he didn't recognize me in the press box. He was where I came. So then, I said something must be done about this. To cut a long story short, we went to Chennai, we went here and there, and they were refusing to pay. So I spoke to the manager. He was a former India Test cricketer, Raman Subba Rao, who played for England.
Yeah.
I said, I approached him. I said, Raman, this is what happened. So he said, you leave it with me. And then again, nothing happened. No news from Raman or from Pat Gibson or from anybody. We came to Bombay. Then I said, this is too much. It cannot be allowed to get away. So I started blasting them through Sportsu. And then Raman came to me and said, Khalid, I'm sorry, but Ian Botham says he will not pay. So I said, listen, that's your business. I have nothing to do with this. All that I introduced your boys, and they just ran up the bill. So they said, what can I do? I said, okay, leave it with me then. And then I approached my lawyers, and the team was playing somewhere else, and then they were playing in Kerala. It was a charity match for some groundsmen in Trivandrum, I think. And so I told my lawyers, I said, send them a notice, which he did. And I said, don't be too drastic. I mean, we don't want to, but see whatever you can. So they came back and he said, it's not getting any joy. So I said, then you have to do something drastic. So he said, okay, then we can send them a notice and attach their baggage. They will not be allowed to take their baggage out of the country. So this was conveyed to them. And then the Deputy High Commissioner in Bombay, they were about to leave, go back home after the tour. And so the Deputy Commissioner rings me up and says, Mr. Ansari, we believe you have a problem with the cricket team. And there is some small matter small matter in terms of money, but it's a huge matter for our national prestige. And we cannot be allowed to be trampled all over. And so the next thing, they came back again and they said, they've decided to settle your bill. So I said, please tell them that we do not want the money. in my account, donated to the Cheshire Home in London, of which the Duke of Edinburgh is the chief patron. We settled this whole jagra.
That was very, very good. But the English press has never been kind to you, Khalid. They've never really given you the Mehman Nawazi when you've been there, I believe, in London. Yeah.
I got a bad reputation with them. But again, you know, do you have the time for a quick incident?
Quick incident, yeah.
We were covering the World Cup in the West Indies, and this was Barbados. And the media was staying at a particular hotel. We were all there together. So one day after the day's play, we went back to the hotel, and I see my photographer, but no, then he will come to me, sitting at the bar with some of his colleagues. So I went up and said hello. And although he worked for me and he made money from my organization, he was stiff upper nose and, you know, superior. But cut a long story short. Anyway, so, and he didn't introduce me to his friends, nothing. And so I was hurt, I'll be honest. I'm a very emotional idiot, you know. I take offense easily. So I let them be, and then I went up and said, Pat, what's your problem? And I let him have it. And believe me, his attitude changed thereafter.
Yeah, I think that little bit of superiority complex still was there at that time. Khalid, you've been very partial in your book to certain cricketers. You've known a whole gamut of cricketers, all the Indian cricket team, right from Gavaskar's time and before, right up to the present day. But you've singled out Bishan Bedi for a chapter. Why? Yes,
for many reasons. For one thing, he's a good friend of mine, but that doesn't justify giving him more space than other people. I respect Bishan a lot. He's a bit of a madcap. He's a bit of a joker. He can be intemperate. A man of strong beliefs who insists on calling a spade a shovel. And he is his worst enemy. But he is a lovable scamp. He is such a good human being. I cannot tell you, Quresh, how much respect I have for him, for his sense of values, for his integrity, for the work he does for charity, for the way he's fought for India's pride and prestige, even when he was playing at Northants, you know. He always stood up for India, holding the country's flag high. And so therefore, I have a lot of respect for Bishan. Apart from that, of course, most importantly, a great cricketer, a legend.
What happened to his health? He's in a wheelchair now?
Yes, he is, sadly. He had a heart attack.
Okay.
And a stroke. And in fact, you know, he came very close to leaving us.
Okay.
Yeah, but providentially, and his wife Anju, she's a sweetheart. She looked after him, and the doctors have done a magnificent job. And he's up and about, but in a wheelchair, unfortunately. He very kindly invited us, Zena and me, to his birthday celebrations in Delhi.
Yeah, I saw those pictures. That's why I'm saying I saw those pictures with him in a wheelchair, and it made me very sad. Yeah,
it's very sad to see him in that condition because.
Yeah.
Oh, what can I say? You know, to quote Bishan Bedi to Sunny Gavaskar, I think this was an Adelaide test some years ago, and I was in the dressing room with Sunny Gavaskar. No, I was talking to the players, and Sunny Gavaskar had played a brilliant innings. And so Bishan Bedi, who was the captain of the team, was being interviewed by the Australian press. And the question was, and what did you think of Sunil Gavaskar's batting today? And Bishan, being Bishan, on an open mic, tells the interviewer, he said, oh, gee whiz, watching Sunny, I was getting orgasms. Now only Bishan can do that kind of thing.
Khalid, if you leave emotions aside, strictly according to using your mind and not your heart, who would you rate as India's most astute cricket captain that you have seen on the field? So don't go back to people you haven't seen personally. Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one, Quresh.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a.
As far as cricketing brain is concerned, you know, I mean, like. Not necessarily an excellent batsman or a bowler, but the cricketing brain, whom would you rate highest?
Quresh, to be very honest, not being diplomatic, but it's a very difficult question to answer because the game has changed so much over the years. Conditions have changed. So many factors enter the picture when you try and attempt an answer like this one. For example, if a captain is given a substandard team, not the very best possible, what can you do with that? You see, so that is a handicap. So the selectors have changed over the years, and different captains have had either fair selection or unfair selection. And not all our captains have entered the field on a level playing field, in a manner of speaking, because our best players have not played for the country. So that has been a handicap for some captains on some occasions. But from the top of my head, if I were to attempt naming astute captain, I think that was the question.
Yes, astute, yeah.
Okay. I think going back in the time machine, going back to say 71, but that's when I really got involved with cricket.
Yeah.
In the astute.
Nawab Pataudi.
This was a little after that.
Okay.
Ajit Wadekar's time.
Wadekar, yeah.
Okay. And the glorious victories in the West Indies and all of that. I think a battery of pace bowlers. I would say Ajit Wadekar for initiating the whole process, changing the whole mindset of the Indian players. After colonialism, I think we still were suffering from the colonial hang-up. We still felt ourselves inferior to foreign teams, especially Gora teams, if you get my point.
Yeah.
So Ajit Wadekar is the one who turned the tide for India. So it was a long time ago. People have forgotten, but I think we must give Ajit Wadekar due credit for that.
But at that time, the press was very harsh on, I think, Vijay Merchant for being the selector at that time and casting aside the Nawab Pataudi for Ajit Wadekar in 71. In hindsight, would you say, because Vijay had many enemies, but in hindsight, would you say that was a good decision?
If you go only by results, yes. And therefore, if I were to apply the same yardstick in answering your question as to who was the most astute, if you go by results, then you'll get a totally different...
Yes. No, I'm not going by results, just the cricketing mind,
Yeah, so I would say Ajit Wadekar to a large extent. Sunil Gavaskar, Sunil the little master, not because he's a good friend of mine and we work together, but I mean, you have to give him credit, even as a captain, because he changed the whole mindset of the team.
Correct.
He injected steel, in the team, and he taught them how to win. So, Sunil, Kapil Dev, again, for similar reasons, for leading from the front, for being an inspirational captain, single-handedly winning test matches and that kind of thing, as bowler, both. In more recent times, Virat Kohli, of course.
Yes.
How can you forget Virat Kohli? And Bishan Bedi for the same reason. Again, for injecting staunch nationalism in the team, saying, lads, you're playing for the country, you've got to win this one, you can't afford to lose, blah, 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 all that. Tremendous inspirational qualities. So I felt that Bishan, and also because he's such a character.
Yeah.
Space to him.
Khalid, tell us a little bit about your UN experience, and then we'll talk about your charities. Yeah.
Okay. The UN, again, you mentioned that you were surprised that a sports
journalist, yes,
could be made a member of the delegation. I think it was not so much for my sports week connection as it was for my midday connection.
Okay.
And the fact that by then, I was doing a lot of writing on every subject under the sun. And I had also been appointed by the United Nations to be the editor of the paper that you mentioned in Rio de Janeiro for the... So there were other aspects of my career for which I was made a member of the delegation. Incidentally, Atal Bihari Vajpayee was also a member of our delegation. It was such a pleasure being on the same, platform with him, spending delightful evenings in the evening. And he was such a fantastic raconteur and great company, and a man of so much wisdom. Spoke such fluent Hindi, spoke such fluent English. It was a delight to be with him. So I hope that answers your question. That I'm not my sports week hat, but my midday hat. And also, when I got my Padma Shri, it was a combination of the both, sports and general writing.
Khalid, before we end, you've into inverted commas retired, but I see you more outside our building than within the four walls of the building. I get pictures from you from the Northeast. Incidentally, Khalid, our club does a lot of charitable activities in the Northeast as well. So tell us about why are you so passionate now about the Khalid and Zania Foundation, charitable foundation, and what exactly are you doing? I know you're doing it in children, girl welfare, and as far as, and of course with Zenia, animal welfare is close to your heart as well. Tell us a little bit about this new purpose of life.
Yeah, right. Okay. I retired in the year 2010. I had had enough, and besides, my son Tariq was doing such a magnificent job looking after the business in my absence while I was gallivanting everywhere, covering sports events, 9 Olympic Games, and all of that. So I thought that Tariq was fit and ready to take over. In fact, he's the one who started the radio business. You mentioned the joint venture with BBC. Tariq initiated it, he set it up, and he made a big success of it. You mentioned the different radio stations in the country. And then we sold it, but anyway, to the Hindustan Times group in Delhi. But so after retirement, the question was, Zena was running a business in Sydney, Australia. She's from New Zealand, born in Croatia, but anyway. And so we decided to set up get involved with our charity. I mentioned my father's charity, so which I was running after he passed away. And so after retirement, we got involved. And in fact, when I was asked at the Khalid Times people, "Aap kya kar rahe hain aajkal?" I said, "Hum to bekar hain." And that's how the Khalid Times offer came along, but that's a different story. So we've been devoting all our time to charity. We've expanded my father's charity to various avenues. We're now involved with the Tata Trust. We're involved with the Nargis Dutt Foundation. We do cancer work. We educate the girl child. We teach girls from depressed sections of society vocational skills so that they can be independent and stand on their own feet. And the latest was, of course, the involvement in the Northeast. It happened accidentally. We were on a flight to Delhi, and my wife Zaina was reading the in-flight magazine, in which there was an article about the World Wildlife Fund. Now she was entranced because she's an animal lover, and so in Delhi, she said, "Can we visit the WWF office in Delhi?" So I said, "Yeah, I'm sure we can." So we set up an appointment. We met the people there, and she fell in love with what they are doing in the Northeast, especially with regard to trafficking of animals and helping the women over there, with cottage industries and things like that. And there's a lot of poaching going on there, as you know, because you don't know Seven Sisters very well, like I
Yes, yes.
So we said, can we visit one of your projects? So they said, yes, of course. And they set it up for us. So we went to Guwahati, and we went to a place called Manas outside of Guwahati to the game park. And we were lucky to see a rhino close up, very, very close, shot close distance. Anyway, so we were very impressed with what the women are doing. And, their husbands, many of whom were poachers before, killing all the destroying of wildlife and killing them, have now become protectors of the wildlife, which is a marvelous revolution. So we were very impressed with what they're doing, and also with what the women are doing to help themselves. So we decided to get involved. So that's how it's happened.
Wonderful.
Also, we also do cochlear implants for the girl child. There's this institute in Bombay called the Ali Yavar Jang Institute for the Hearing
Impaired. Yes.
So we don't run any of these charities. I'll make it very clear. We just support them.
Yeah. I think you're also helping out for free cataract surgeries with the Aditya Jyot.
Yes, we do.
Guys Foundation.
That's right. And now with the Kunil Kothari, Dr. Kunil Kothari is
yes. Vision Foundation of India. Yes.
That's right, Vision Foundation of India.
Yes.
So that keeps us busy, and we both love travel. So we spend a lot of time traveling, both within the country, discovering our own country, Bharat Yatras, and also abroad. Because there's a wonderful world. There's so much to see and so much to do.
Now, Khalid, finally, at the end of the interview, I must say I agree with you. It is a wonderful world. At least you portrayed it wonderfully. I thank you, and I'll hand over the mic to Zen Quetawala for a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Khalid. Thanks for being with us.
Thank your Rotarian members for being so patient.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone present at this virtual meeting. Friends, it is not every day that one gets an opportunity to propose a vote of thanks for such an eminent person like Padma Shri Khalid Ansari, whose Sports Week was my favorite magazine and Midday was my favorite newspaper. Khalid Saab, on behalf of Rotary Club of Bombay North, I thank you very much for sparing us your valuable time on this Saturday morning and addressing a full house, albeit virtually. You have really given us an in-depth and correct understanding of this wonderful world. Who else can describe a wonderful world better than you? A person full of life and who has lived life to its fullest. From starting newspapers and magazines, representing his country at the United Nations, accompanying dignitaries on state visits, covering cricket test matches, 9 Olympics, Commonwealth and Asian Games, traveling the world, being honored with Padma Shri Award, entertaining the world and helping persons in need with a philanthropy. It's been indeed la vie magnifique. It's a wonderful life. Once again, I would like to state that we are all most grateful to Padma Shri Khalid Saab and say a big thank you to him. Thank you, Khalid Saab, for sharing all what you have said today. Of course, I would like to thank our President Rukhsana Khan and our past President Ajmera for assigning this pleasant task to me. And I would be failing in my duty if I did not thank Quresh for conducting this dialogue, as usual, so brilliantly. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Zain Saab. Thank you, Khalid Saab. And let me tell you, okay, we have struck century today. Our attendance is maximum. It is more than 100 people joined this talk today. And we are
That
happy
was Khalid
to
only because we had a Zoom limit of 100. Yeah.
Yes. But, screen shared is 99, but people attended is 103. So thank you very much. We will not have question answer session as it is already Dr. Quresh has conducted this meeting with question answers only. And now members 43, spouse 5, guest 53 this time, Rotractors 2, and total number of people attended meeting was 103. Screen shared 99. So thank you again, Khalid Saab. Thank you, Quresh. Thank you, Ashok Ajmera ji, for arranging this meeting. And thank you, Zain. And thank you all the members and guests who have attended this meeting. Thank you. I adjourn this meeting. And now you can
We'll have some question answer, madam.
No,
We don't have time.
We don't have.
Just one or two, Nafisa.
Okay, we can have 2 questions. We
Okay,
can take questions because
Nafisa ji.
Khalid, are you okay with that?
Nafisa Khoraki wala.
As I said, I'm
Okay.
Okay. Nafisa ma'am, you've raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Public.
So, good morning, Khalid. This is Nafisa here. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Yes.
Khalid?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning.
Yeah, I think you are.
Yes, Nafisa, you can.
There's some network error at her end.
Yeah, no, she is.
Yeah, she has joined again.
She is in Roro or in Alibag. I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, ma'am, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
So I was just telling Khalid, good morning. A very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thoroughly enjoyed your talk and got to know a lot about you and the book, of course. So it gives me no incentive to read the book now.
Thank you.
Though I have.
Nafisa, I have read the book. There's lots more to the book than what Khalid has spoken. So you need to read it. Yeah.
But of course, I've gone through all the pictures, and hopefully, as Quresh said, I will pick up the book. And thank you for sending us a copy, Khalid.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Khalid, for a lovely morning.
Thank you. Very kind of you.
Yeah.
I think
Do we have any other questions from anyone?
I just wish to inform Khalid Sahab that our Rotary Club of Bombay North is also doing lot of projects in Northeast. We have recently we have given 22 dryers for women farmers, 2,200 women farmers for drying their products. And we are doing for schools also. We have donated computers, books, 4,000 books we have donated. So we are also doing lots in this Northeast zone. One Mr. Vimal Thakur is wants to ask question.
So can you please unmute yourself and ask?
Yeah, Mr. Thakur. I think
We can't hear you, sir.
So I just, so can I just stay 1 minute?
no, Mr.
Half a
Vimal,
minute?
Mr. Vimal Thakur is there now. I think he's mute.
So
Mr. Thakur, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes, Firoz bhai. Once after. Yes, after Vimal Thakur.
We can't hear you. You've unmuted yourself, but we can't hear you, sir.
Okay, Firoz bhai, you can unmute yourself and come.
no, I wanted to inform my that I recognize him as the eminent savior on the completion of 100 years of the St. Xavier's College Association. And I was the president, and I have the privilege of recognizing him on the stage in front of audience about 1,000 people. And I think Khalid remembers that very well. Khalid, congratulations once again to you. Nice talk this morning.
Is that Sandeep? Sandeep?
No, Firoz Kachwala.
Oh, Firoz, of course. Okay. No, when you mentioned Mr. Thakur, Vimal Thakur, I thought it was a friend of mine. But
It is.
Firoz, thank you very much for your kind words. Yes, how can I forget that wonderful evening when the college honored me by recognizing me. I accepted that.
More than 1,000 people present.
Mr. Vimal Thakur, we can't hear you.
We have someone else who's raised their hand.
Mr.
Can
Vikas
I,
Vishwakarma.
Quresh,
Yes.
I'm proud of Khalid as he was a member of Rotary Club of Bombay Midtown, a great Rotarian, great sportsman, and what a district conference he gave to the entire Rotary world, bringing President Giri, etc., the people of highest repute, which people cannot get easily. Indeed, he goes down in the history of the club and the district and feel very proud, congratulate and wish him a long, healthy life.
Thank you, Shirish bhai.
Thank you, Suresh. Just one minor correction. I truly appreciate your very kind word, but it was President Zail Singh and not President.
Not Giri. Yes.
And if you remember, we also had Field Marshal Manekshaw, we had Nani Palkiwala,
Correct.
Lata Mangeshkar sang for us. That was a memorable district conference, wasn't it?
Well, I didn't want to expand. People can't get Lata. I mean, I with due respect to other great speakers, and you were able to get all of these.
And you, in case you forget, Suresh, you were the district chairman.
District governor.
No, you were the district governor. Yes, no less.
It was my lifetime great conference.
Thank you, Suresh. We worked together and we.
I let them have really be good. Mom is not ready.
Yeah, Vimal Thakur, please. If you are unmute now.
Look, I don't know if I'll do it when I come back. We'll be back about 3 o'clock.
If not, I think he is still struggling to unmute himself.
No, he is unmuted, but there's some error because we can't hear him.
Okay, in the meantime, Khalid Sahab, I have a question. How do you keep your energy on? All the time you've been running around the whole of your life, covering so many events and running so many different roles. What is the secret of your energy?
I think it's just Upar Wala Meherban, basically.
No. I don't agree. I mean, there must be some secret.
I asked my friends who are in good shape, I said, "Tum kaun se chakki ka atta khate ho?"
Yes.
I have a question if nobody else is asking the question.
Vishwanathan?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, please.
No, it's a slightly controversial subject, Khalid ji.
Yes.
Goes back to the first World Cup or the first World Cup or second World Cup, I don't remember. When the reason I'm asking you is nobody got really understood what really happened that time when Gavaskar scored 36 in the whole 60 overs. I don't want a controversy. Just as a friend, was there a thought, because he's an astute guy. He's not does something very lackadaisically. He thinks of everything that he does. Any insight on what happened here?
In fact, I happened to be at Lord's that time when it happened, and I do know that Sunil himself is, he's rather, I wouldn't say embarrassed, but he's sorry for the way, he played. I think I've never discussed it with him. I didn't want to embarrass him by asking him. But it's a fact that, he hadn't played much limited overs cricket until then. If you remember, he was essentially a test cricketer. And so this was very new to him. And it took him some time to understand the nuances and the niceties of playing a limited overs game. So that is my only explanation. I have
a great regard for him as a person, as a cricketer, as an astute captain, as a commentator. I think he's possibly par excellence compared to a lot of cricketers.
I couldn't agree.
This one thing is sort of a raking thing, but nobody's perfect, perhaps.
Not many people know about his qualities as a human being. In my estimation, he's right up there as a person. As a husband, as a parent, and even a person who does so much for his fellow human beings, but quietly. He runs this champions, what's it called? Trust, I think, where they look after retired sports people who've been on bad times. We're doing so much good work. I happen to know because I was a trustee until I resigned because I didn't have the time. But he is an outstanding human being. And I have the highest respect and regard for Sunil.
Then I'll let it rest in my mind also. Thanks. Thank you.
Sucheta Mane. If you have some time, Sucheta Mane, unmute yourself and ask the question.
Sucheta ji, if you can unmute yourself and ask the question, please. Does anyone else have any question?
I think we can wind up now.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think we can wind up the meeting.
Thank you very much, and thank you, members of the Rotary Club North, and good luck in all your endeavors. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure having you.
A pleasure.
It's Patika.
You, member. Thank you.
Excellent meeting.
Thank you, Ravindra.
Thank you, Ruxana, for your kind words.
Thank you, sir. And we will always, Inqilab is always number one, and it has really created a history in Urdu newspapers.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I hope my WhatsApp chat, you are getting all the information on time about this meeting, and also, so I am Ashok Ajmera.
I must say, Ashok, how impressed I was with the manner in which you arranged everything, your constant reminders, your follow-up. Very well done. I'm impressed. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. It's indeed my pleasure having met you. Such a big personality, and personally, of course, not personally, but still, it is just like meeting personally only on Zoom. And hopefully, if we get some time during the physical time, we'll meet. I would like to meet you again.
Thank you very much. I would love that too. Thank you, Ashok.
Okay. Thanks a lot. All right. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Vimalji, there is some problem. We are not able to hear you.
I think now Khalid Sahab also has gone. So let's wind up the meeting.
Yes, thank you.